that was cool.
Yeah. And how do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
I feel good, you know.
Good.
I hear this time and time again, you know, turn your fears into excitement. Go through the fears and bliss comes out on the other side, and that's exactly what it is. You know, I felt nervous, I felt the fear, but I do it anyways. And
Yeah,
that's strength, that's
absolutely.
the willpower, that's the power that you have inside of you. You know, people could either fold or unfold.
I think too
So,
what's key is realizing that it doesn't matter um what people say, um
yeah,
because I find that in today's society that people are so strung up on with being accepted by everyone, uh,
yeah,
that it creates a lot of anxiety, and a lot of self-doubt,
yeah,
so it's one of those things, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining. I mean, it's recording. I wanted to say, you know, if you can introduce yourself and who you are,
Yeah.
and anything you want to say, what you do, why you do it, you know, why you're on this call, you know, I mentioned how much you're loving and how much help you've given, you know, but just introduce yourself, tell people who you are and you know about
Sure.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah. So my name is Blair Fazan. I
yeah,
am a woman of many, many talents. Um,
yeah,
I think knowledge is something that needs to just always be expanding. And so there's something I don't know how to do, I learn how to do it. Um, and I just kind of go
yeah,
from there. My projects or my jobs, whatever, society wants to call it, um,
right,
change frequently because so does my personality, so does my mood, so does my love
yeah,
affairs with life. It changes,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
and so should what you're doing in life. Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I agree completely. You know, a lot of things have transitioned in my life, and I've made a lot of changes in my life too. You know,
Yeah,
even with work,
yeah,
um, everything's unfolding. You can't be stagnant, or you can't stick with one thing. You know, if you're on this earth uh, thinking that work is the only thing, or your 9 to 5 is the only thing, and you're stressing,
yeah,
well, that just shows, you know, where you're lacking. If right now people in this world feel they're not working, what's going to happen? You know, that's what causes dis-ease and stress and anxiety. It's like wondering how. Leave the how up to God and just do what you have to do, and just find new traits, find new abilities. We have skills, you know.
yeah. And like at the end of the day too, um, there's a lot of chaos in the world right now.
Right.
Um, and people are so entangled with social media that
Yeah.
they're being bombarded by not only the news that's local and pertaining to them, they're being
Yeah.
bombarded by news from, well, all over the world. Uh, when I traveled all over North America teaching, um,
Yeah.
I've kept in contact with many of the people down in the States. And even just getting updates from them and about what's happening in their area is
Yeah.
also it's overwhelming in that sense. So now we have social media also adding to that, and we don't get a say on what we see most of
Mm-hmm.
the time. Of course, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to check social media. We don't have to be included in that. We don't have to be involved in that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still there. And, you know, when we're being filled with so much information that's overwhelming and scary and consumes our thoughts, it's easy to get lost in the hysteria, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. But, I say to people, people can either say, don't engage too much in the toxic negativity because it's going to
Hmm.
suck you dry. But, you can either allow it to suck you dry, or you could just be open and aware and
Yeah.
allow yourself to persevere through that. It's
Hmm.
on your strengths, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of dive in a little bit and
Yeah.
kind of ask you some questions, if that's
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's talk about a little bit about stress, like we're talking right now, and turmoil, and right now there's a lot happening around the world with
Yeah.
mental health. Let's address some of that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about some of your experience. Let's talk about some things that you are going through and
Hmm.
you have to overcome.
Yeah.
If you can share some stuff.
Yeah. Um, so mental health is something that definitely pulls on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
For anyone who says that they have never experienced anything to do with mental health, um, it's just a matter of time. And it can be as simple as losing a family member, or as dramatic as, you know, literally losing everything that you've worked so hard for. It comes in many shapes and forms.
Yeah.
Um, and at the end of the day, it's, what do you feel about yourself? Do you love yourself during those dark moments? Like, what's your self-love? What's your self-worth? In those
Hmm.
really dark moments, what those two things are is what's going to pull you out of any depression. Um, don't get me wrong, I've been depressed to the point that I didn't want to be here anymore,
Yeah.
and that was hard to pull out of.
Right.
Did I have to seek help of a medical team? Absolutely, and that's okay. Um, have I been in mild forms of depression where I've had to reach out to friends to pull me out of the house? Yep, been there.
What does that look like? What does that look like, if you don't mind? Uh,
Yeah,
you know, yeah. What does that feel like? What does that look like? There's people going through
yeah,
depression right now. A lot of people are suffering inside. And I'm proud of you. You're still persevering. A lot of people cannot persevere.
yeah,
You choose to go through this. So what does it look like? What does it feel like? What's it like?
yeah. Um, it comes in many, 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 many forms.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You know that friend that used to call every other day or text you once a week, and they
Yeah.
automatically just stopped?
Yeah.
You know, how many times do we think that it's maybe we did something wrong, or maybe they don't want to be friends with us?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what usually society thinks. But if we
Mm-hmm.
took a step back and just maybe considered that maybe they took a step back because life was too overwhelming for them in that moment
Mm.
or during those moments, and that's why they've started to kind of push away. It's just acknowledging the simple changes like that and reaching out that could change history itself. um,
Yeah.
I remember, I can't remember who said it, but I do remember it. I wish I remembered who, but it it was something I watched on TV, and it said, "Smile at everybody that you see, even in your darkest moments, because you could be pulling someone out of their dark moment.
Yeah.
You know, so many times we walk around, and you would never know that we're, you know, that person's depressed, you know, having coffee with her friend, or, you know, maybe that little boy lost his dog, or, you know,
Yeah.
we don't know what's going on with people. We don't know.
No, we don't. Yeah.
And just even just being a little bit more open to the fact that we don't know, and being accepting of that, being okay with the unknown, and accepting whatever's kind of happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. I listened to this quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer. You know, it's not really a quote, it's just a way of being, you know, because you don't know what you can learn from others. You know, you can learn from a 4-year-old kid, from a homeless man. You can learn from a 90-year-old man. You know, you never want to belittle or look at somebody with a negative look, you know. So what you
Yeah,
do is you send love. You send love.
I
Like if
agree.
they have weird hair or weird piercing, now I send love. When I was
Yeah,
younger, I thought that was weird and like was very
yeah,
judgmental. But a
yeah,
lot of things started changing in me, and it can help others if you just smile with love at them.
yeah.
They'll feel better. You can shift. You can change someone's life. You never know what can happen, right? So
I agree.
yeah, I didn't.
You
I didn't.
know,
Yeah,
oh no, sorry, you go, Malcolm. I interrupted. Sorry.
I didn't know. No, you didn't. But I was gonna say, even till this day, I still don't know, you know, some of the deep down dark things that you're battling through on a
Yeah,
day-to-day basis. And I know you have a lot to share. And, you know, I want people to be able to relate with you because, you know, I'm gonna have guests on various topics that I want to dive deep so people know like, oh my God, you know, this she's living with it, she's living proof, and she's able to persevere. What is she doing different? So kind of if you could talk about like your lows and how you make them your highs. You know how you're giving me an example of you sometimes
yeah,
allow yourself to stay in that dark space for you to have content to write a book or something. I thought that was beautiful, and nobody's really put it that way. Can you
yeah,
elaborate on that and explain
yeah.
what that means?
So
Yeah.
I'm currently writing a book right now. Um, of course, I've clearly been depressed in my life. Who hasn't? Um, for me, in order for me to write, I need to experience those thoughts and those feelings and literally those experiences again. And so if I'm writing what I call my dark and cryptic poetry, um, I I have literally sent myself into crippling depression.
Wow.
Um, I don't suggest this for anybody to do. Um, but I've dug myself down so far deep into a dark hole that I didn't leave my house for weeks. So even in this chaos of this virus circulating the world, like you guys, I spent 8 weeks in my house from January until February. That is the type of depression I put myself in, where I only left a total of 12 hours over the course of those 8 weeks to experience those experiences one last time so I could write my poetry, so I could just finally release it one last time.
Yeah.
Um, but I do need to get myself into that really dark, scary place. And coming out of that dark and scary place and knowing how to pull myself out has saved my life more than once.
Yeah.
has allowed me to, well, hopefully speak to anyone who buys or reads my poetry. Hopefully it enlightens somebody to know that they're not alone, right? So I think that
Exactly. Yeah.
with mental health, you know, even the fact that the world is going through the same thing, yet you look on Facebook or social media and everyone is so individual. So individual.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
world that's being affected by this.
Yeah.
So even if the world is being affected, but yet everyone is taking this thing so personal, everybody can pull themselves out of it. This is temporary. Emotion is temporary.
Yeah.
We need to remember that.
What do you do to get out of your emotion or those dark places? Do you have a practice, or do you stay in it for long? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Um, if it's a self-induced depression, that's totally different than a depression that's kind of just brought on by life events and circumstances.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the self-induced ones are of course easier to pull myself out of, because the sole purpose of that self-induced depression is to acknowledge the feeling that was associated with that event or moment in my life,
Yeah.
to experience it one last time, and then to release and detach. Um, which again is something that we all need to do for anything that's negative, anything that's sad, anything that's depressing. If you hold on to it, you're what do you say, Malcolm? What you say it all the time and I can't remember. Oh goodness, you said it even during the live video today.
Be open to everything and attached to nothing.
That, and then something about the toxicity becoming cancer. I can't remember how you said it.
Yeah. You know, thoughts become things, but your thoughts become feelings. So when you feel depressed, when you feel sad or anxious, these linger with emotional distress, and they can turn into dis-ease. And
That's
people
it.
emotionally eat. They hold these baggages, they hold this weight on their body. Some people, they barely eat, but they have all this emotional weight. And once they break free of that emotional baggage, they start to lose weight. They start
Yeah,
to release that inflammation. And I think that's what I did. I had
yeah,
so much weight on me. Yeah, I had body weight, like 220 pounds. I had fat,
yeah,
I had water weight, but a lot of that wasn't just my health and my diet and exercise. A lot of that was emotional baggage, emotional weight. So I had to detach and be open to everything. I had to understand these concepts of life, how we are in control.
yeah.
We
We
are
are.
in control.
Yeah,
We are creating our reality as we speak. Where we are today, it's partially to do with our circumstances, but what we allow ourselves to get into and get out of. Like, I was put in circumstances, but if I look back, I chose those circumstances.
yes,
I chose to be in those situations where I was beat up, or I chose to be in a circumstance to not know much about someone that was going to end up raping me. I put myself in those situations where I was over drinking and I
yes,
had no control over my body, and
yeah,
a grown man tried to take advantage of me. I chose those circumstances.
yeah,
So when you understand that this is enlightenment, this is awakening, this is education and knowledge and listening to
yeah,
stories. I always tell my son, do you want to learn from your mistakes and fail and fail and fail, which you can, Or would you rather know the lessons of what other people have gone through and the turmoil they've had to endure and face, and make the right choices now at 5 years old, so you can make better choices at 10, 11, 12, rather than be 29 years old to start waking up like your dad had to die and come back at 23 years old. I was 23 years old when I was on life support. And I had to go through a journey, and I still failed. I still made mistakes, and I still drank, and I drove, and I made a lot of mistakes, even though I connected to source. But you cannot beat yourself up. You cannot cry yourself to sleep. You have to take control, look at yourself in the mirror, and connect with your soul, and forgive yourself and love yourself, and know that you are putting your faith in source, and you don't have to hold these burdens inside. Go to sleep, let it go. Don't go to sleep with your emotions inside. A lot of people don't do that. They don't release their emotions. They go to sleep angry at their partner, angry at their son, their daughter. You know, why? Why do people hold these emotions when they know that they should know better? So this is why, this is part of my purpose. This is part of my journey to help people realize that they don't have to suffer anymore. You know, I had a client that was suffering from depression and anxiety for a lawsuit because of something she did to her company. And I put her in such a peace that she's now vulnerable and now like open to universe letting her life unfold, because she's detached now and she's just living in gratitude. Even though she had a scarcity mindset of what's going to happen, now she's let it go, and now she's just allowing things to unfold. Because if universe knows that you're going to allow it to unfold, maybe that's your opportunity for something better to come through. That's your opportunity for a miracle, you know, because you're not in control. We have to know this. We're not in control. Don't be in control. That's funny, right? Like God must be laughing, or spirit must be laughing, or nature must be laughing. We try to take control of our lives.
Yes. And that's, I think, where we fault, you know? I do think that that's really where a lot of us, like, fault is not understanding the transition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's part of the transition. It's Kundalini. It's whatever you want to call it, unfolding, awakening, enlightenment. It's your spiritual connection. It's just a transition, and you must go through it. You know, you're going through it. We're all going through it. But you know what's a big slap in the face? You know, when people suffer time and again, they go through turmoil, they go through life support, they get a second chance to life, and they slap it in the face, and they don't learn, and they don't grow, and they just think this is it, this is their life. They want to remain negative. And that's what I'm saying. If people want to come out of this like that, well, I'm sorry, you know what, you're repeating this cycle. And that's the whole point of reincarnation. We're in these vessels because these spirits that chose our vessels choose us to relive a better life, to unfold with love and prosperity and abundance, and to live this journey. But if you want to relive this life in pain and dis-ease, then I'm sorry, you're going to keep living life. There's going to be a heaven out there somewhere. You know, like it's crazy.
Absolutely. I think, I know you, Matt, no, you definitely said, I'm pondering now, Malcolm.
There's different ways to say it. But there's people who are great at articulating. Like when you explain business to me and you explain like how to market and this, you're very good at articulating. And that takes years of experience, right? Me, this is how I communicate, and it just comes from source. Like I said, guided intelligence came to me. Everything came to me. So now I don't represent myself as, hi, I'm Malcolm. No, because that's so stupid, because my name could have been Bob. I'm not Bob. I'm not Malcolm. I'm not Malcolm. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I think, I totally get it. And too, you know, I think a lot of times with mental health, people don't know how to explain things properly because they've never been properly taught how to experience emotion themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's one of the reasons that we do have such problems with mental health, right? Is
Yeah.
that, you know, I have two boys and I'm trying to
Yeah.
teach them how to be sensitive boys. Like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to tell people how you're feeling. Like, it is okay, you know? I feel like for, well, forever, men have always been brought up as these beings that are meant to be strong. They're meant to provide. They're meant to do all of these things.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
hello, so am I. Hi. Hi, yeah, I want to do that too, you know?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't just be based on man versus woman, or, you know, like, it's all about, I think it's all about just being authentic to who you are and loving
Yeah.
yourself,
Right.
and and having a good self-worth, and then you can defeat the world,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know. But I do think that depression is eliminated, or is vastly declined when you do love yourself and you do have that gratitude for yourself, and you do know you're worthy.
You're touching on a good point, because a lot of people think that their emotions are somewhere outside of themselves, and that's why they feel they're not in control of handling their emotions, because they feel like, oh my god, why am I emotional? What is it that's dictating these circumstances, or what's allowing me to be emotional? They think it's outside of themselves, so
Yeah.
they're just worrying and crying. And when people understand that we are emotional beings
Yeah.
and we can control our state, and it's how long we stay in that emotional state. It's like,
Mhm.
how long do you fall and lay down before you get up? How much
Yeah.
power, how much will do you have? If you allow the power to be outside of you, I'm sorry, you might as well lay flat and die, or
Yeah.
wait till you're dead and then regret, because your spirit is going to go to another vessel and say, I told you so, I told you so. All those dreams and hopes and wishes are now going to die in this body, and you weren't able to do it.
Hmm.
And do you want to regret it, or do you want to just take a chance and say, I got this, I'm going to dump this? I was addicted to pharmaceuticals, and I did this work that I'm talking about. I opened up all my 6 7 different bottles that I was contemplating suicide, and I'm like debating, do I pop the whole thing or should I dump it down the toilet? So it became a choice. Am I stronger? Do I have a will? Do I have a power? Is there's a God? Like, I really feel that people start to have a connection and look themselves in the eyes and know that there's something inside of you that's longing and begging for you to pay attention to.
Mm.
People are going to stop suffering. People are going to start crying and saying, oh my God, I've never known who I am before, and now
Yeah.
I'm going to take empowerment and control of my life. People don't take control of their lives, and they let life take control of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel I want to expand on that too just a little
Yeah,
bit. I feel like people also allow the emotions of other people to also dictate who they are. Um, it's the person's being an asshole to you. It's most likely not because of you. It's most likely
exactly,
because of them.
exactly,
It's something that they're dealing with and struggling with. Like,
exactly. It's their
and
anger, it's their
yeah,
pain, it's their ego, it's their
yeah,
insecurity. If they are insecure and they are thinking that you put their insecurity on you, and they turn it into that, it's their insecurity, it's their jealousy. It's not you. It's not you. You're a bad woman. You're an emotional woman. You're a bitter woman, or I don't trust you. No, you don't trust yourself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't love myself. Therefore, I didn't know how to love my partner, and I didn't know how to trust her, and I didn't know how to set her free. And the day that I set her free was the day I started to love myself, because I didn't take my own shit at that point, and I didn't take her shit, and I didn't take anybody's shit, and I just set it free.
Yeah. And two, the other thing that people need to also be aware of, which I feel like a lot of people aren't aware, once again, like honestly, I love social media. I think it's a great thing. It's really great to be able to connect to people all over the world, but it's a negative, you know, just
Waking up in the
and like, why does it matter if so and so likes what you wore, or you know, for instance, you're talking about trust, right? So let's expand on that a little bit. Trust is key to any relationship.
Massive.
You know? So yes, I can forgive. Let's just say you lied to me, right? Yes, of course I can forgive you. Am I going to trust you? Yes or no? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Who knows, right?
Right.
But it's within that choice is, okay, I can still be your friend. I may or may not trust you. I don't know. Does that matter? Yes or no? No, it doesn't really matter. Fine, whatever. Or yeah, it does matter. But then it's my choice to say, you know what? I've forgiven you. I don't trust you though, and that's one of my key values. So maybe this is the end to this relationship. And that's okay too. And people don't understand that that is okay. You don't have to remain friends with everybody that you've met your entire life.
Right.
People like, and I feel like a lot of depression is driven from that. You know, for instance, I've had so many family members walk in and out of my life. My mom, my dad, you know, family members. I was adopted, you know. There's a lot more to that story, but you know, at the end of the day,
we're stuck in that circle. We're stuck in that vibration and that attraction.
And exactly. And if you're not serving a healthy purpose to my life, it's okay, but you're not going to be involved.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
And it's nothing against, you know, whoever, and it's nothing against me. It's just, it's that time, you know. And relationships are meant to start, and they are meant to end, and they are meant to renew.
Yeah.
People forget about the renew, you know.
Yes. Massively.
You know, well, it's so much more than that. You know, divorce. Okay, let's talk about divorce. Divorce is an end to a relationship. Why is it so negative and nasty? It should never be. You've grown apart. You're on a different vibration level versus your partner. Why are you upset about that? Can we just be civil and just pack it up and go?
Yeah.
You know,
and these are the fundamentals. Yep. Understanding, acceptance, forgiveness.
Yeah.
Okay. And compassion towards the hate that you had towards that person. So these things, you can meditate on it and send those frequencies to that person to detach. You can send that love to that person. And it's not just for that person, it's for your own growth as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And I
think
teach about this. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that that's fabulous. And I think, you know, people learning how to do that is key. I'm really thankful that I was able to begin my journey at a very young age. And my journey meaning self-love.
Yeah.
You know, that is a journey, is self-love.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I started that at a younger age than most people,
Mm-hmm.
because that will, well, that's allowed me to acknowledge things that most adults can't even comprehend.
How do you self-love? Let's just ask a simple question.
Yeah.
How do you self-love?
How do I self-love?
Yeah.
Oh, um, that's a really great question. It comes in many forms. Self-love comes in many forms for me.
Just give
Three? Ooh,
three little tips. Three things that you do to self-love.
yeah.
And yeah, I'll let you go. And then I'll go.
Okay, so I'll give my three and then you give your three, okay?
Sure.
Deal?
Deal.
Okay. I really love to meditate. And different forms of meditation. So whether it is literally just sitting and just being blank, just
Mhm.
sitting with a blank mind, and whatever kind of comes in and flows out. They're not my thoughts, they're just thoughts, you know? So that's probably one of my favorite ways.
Okay.
Uh,
So meditation. Okay.
yeah. I'd even say, this is a form of meditation, but on a different level. And I would say writing my poetry.
Beautiful.
Um, I get to say things that I need to say in the most thought out and cryptic ways I could ever think possible.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
I know that. I love that.
And it's beautiful. Um, and I would say self-love for just myself. Getting lost in memories of happy memories to bring me to a happy and good place.
That's sweet. That's nice. And it's unique. Everybody has a unique way to self-love and
Yeah.
self-reflect and self-care. And that's huge. You touched on important things that you do that are similar. But let me share three things.
Yeah.
I detach. So whatever my son did or my spouse did or my daughter or what I did, I would give them love and gratitude. So I would appreciate something they did or something who they are as a being. I would love my son. I would say, "You're so intelligent. I love you." So I'd forgive what he did and I'll just send love. If it's my partner, I would say, "Thank you for doing the dishes and thank you for helping with coffee. That helped me with some time and freedom to do what I had to do." And when it comes to me, I would look myself in the mirror and say, "I love you. I really, really love you." And if I blinked and if I didn't mean it and I didn't trust myself, I'd do it until I felt it. And I would say, "I forgive you." And then I would detach. I wouldn't hold on to it, because if you can do it to others, you have to do it to yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I would, you know, I love sharing content. It inspires me. It makes me feel good to get a thought in my mind of what people help. So through my personal growth and development, when I'm listening to a podcast, or if I'm listening to meditation, or if I'm listening to a Zen master, and I get some insights and some wisdom, I share with the world. I share
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
Maybe not the world yet, because there's some tainted people out there that, so slowly spread that to the world. And then last, um, I would meditate. I would meditate, and my meditation is different. It's different.
Tell me.
I raise my vibration. I breathe, I do heavy breaths, I do my cold shower, ice cold shower, and I chant Om while I'm showering, and I meditate, and I picture growth, and I picture prosperity, and I release toxins, and I release negativity and depression and illnesses, and inflammation, and I say keep good inflammation, keep, bring in positivity and love, and I'm growing. I'm growing new hair follicles, and I'm developing, and my cells are regenerating, and that's my practice. So I do a bit of that in a cold shower, and I come out of it feeling great. Like if I had a headache, if I had inflammation, if I felt some type of inflammation in my gut, doing a cold shower and chanting Om and praying and meditating really helps me.
Yeah,
So that's
see,
what
and I love it. You know, I really love the different forms of meditation, and I love learning about how other people meditate in their forms of meditation, because it is so personal and it is
yeah.
so individualized, that it
There's no one way.
uh there's no right way, there's no wrong way,
Yeah,
there's just
exactly.
a way.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Yeah,
And
yes.
you hear people say, no, 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 this is how you do it. No, 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 that's
No,
not
that's,
right.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you start to question the authenticity of it, right?
Right.
What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so true. That's what people get stuck in, and they start asking questions. Well, how do I meditate? I have so much going in my head.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to, or I can't sleep through that, or I can't do this. I can't. They start to nitpick on every little thing. So do what makes you feel comfortable. So I would ask the
Yeah.
question, what makes you feel, what do you want to do? Do you want to shower? Do you want to lay down? Do you want to breathe? Do you want to go in the rain? Do you want to run? Do you want to jog and meditate? People run. Running and walking is meditation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it's
working out.
exercise. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I could learn how to run or like it. Multitasking.
Well, I think
Maybe
I
one
need it,
day.
especially now being in the house for like 2, 3 weeks now. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I've been in the house for like 14 days.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
out like twice. I haven't even, but I sit in the car and I just sit there. Like,
What are
you
your
know,
thoughts about work? What are your thoughts about people and that are stressing about what they're going to do coming out of their profession, and what they put so much time and effort into their 9 to 5 or their career, or say they're a therapist, or say they're in self-employed, and now they're worried. What would you say as someone that's self-employed, and someone, I don't know if you were working 9 to 5, but what would your advice be?
yeah, it is way too soon to focus on that currently.
Yeah,
So let's address totally that.
I
Okay,
know.
so everybody, it is too soon. Don't stress yet
Yeah,
or ever. But
yeah,
um, in regards to that, yeah, it's stressful. You know, it would be unfair for me to even just say to try not to be stressed.
right.
Like it would totally be unfair for me to say that. But what do we know? We know that we are heading into an isolation period. We've already started,
Yeah,
you know. But I do believe that this isolation period is going to be more directed by government,
yeah,
where we are having to stay inside, kind of like Italy and all those places
yeah,
to contain. Am I for it or against it? I'm here nor there. Um, but all I know is you live in the past, you're bound to be depressed. You live in the future, you're bound to be anxious. you live in the now, well, you're in the now. There's no stress, there's no anxiety. You're content,
Well
you're
said.
happy, you're in the moment.
Well said. Yeah, that's so right and such good advice because people are getting ahead of themselves
Mhm.
or they're getting behind themselves. They're
Yeah,
letting their mind take control of their bills. It's coming up like, how do I do this? How do I do that? What am I going to do? What if? What if? That's thinking of the past and thinking of the future and combining it and
yeah,
and just trying to be in control. I would say just relax, like you say, be in the
yeah,
present and let things unfold. And this is a perfect time for growth and meditation and being at ease and start loving
mhm,
your family. Do the
yeah,
things that you were lacking. Eliminate people off of Facebook.
yeah.
Come off of
How
that
about
group.
just eliminate Facebook?
Eliminate.
You
Process of
know,
elimination.
you
Or
know,
add, like, if you were lacking a personal connection with your spouse, learn how to build on that.
yeah,
If you didn't take your kids and play with them, do some crafts, do the things that you weren't doing. Start becoming a new you.
yes.
Um, yeah,
Living in the moment, I do think that everything happens for a reason. And as chaotic as this virus seems, as chaotic as it seems, and maybe it is, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, let's be honest. Like, that's
yeah,
not me, you know. As chaotic as it seems,
yeah,
maybe this is just Mother Nature telling us to slow down. Have we ever just thought about that? You know? Um, like look at all the benefits that are coming from it. Okay, yeah, okay. The human race is stressed, but that's the human race. Like, let's be honest, we can overcome this. We've built buildings, we've developed TVs, we've like the digital devices we're recording on. Like,
yeah,
we've created so much. Like, come on, people, like let's give ourselves a little bit more grace.
yes,
Um, and just think, look at all the benefit. Like, look at the positivity. Look at the animals coming back.
the
Look at,
atmosphere.
yeah, replenishing itself and fixing itself. Like, absolutely amazing, right? Like, let's
Yes,
let's look at that.
absolutely.
And how about looking at what we can do to maybe eliminate that from happening in the future. you know um I'm not vegan. I love my cheese too much. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't be vegan, but you know vegetarian, vegan, eating healthier meats, doing those things, like make a change that's benefiting not
Better
only you,
choices.
yeah, you and your soul, but the earth's soul as well.
Yeah,
you
I,
know
I would really
um
love if that happened, if people stopped supporting mass production,
yeah.
scientifically engineered food,
Oh,
GMO, all the things, start being healthy. I hope this is enlightenment for people to
yeah,
build their immune system, and it stems from health
yeah,
and
yeah.
well-being and being compassionate and loving. Don't look at cultures and be negative. Look, now it spread to
No.
the US and people have more compassion for US. What about where it started? There are people too.
Yeah.
Just because they're like a different culture, what's the stigma behind that? They're
It
they're they're
doesn't.
people.
Yeah.
They're people, right?
Totally.
They have feelings and stuff too. They're raised a certain way. We have to have
Yeah.
compassion, right? For
Yeah,
everybody.
and too, like, you know, w- again, leading back to depression.
Yeah.
You know, if you ask somebody why they're depressed, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's because judgment was placed on them in some form, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yet it's so easy to then still place that judgment on other people.
Judgment is huge. That's another great topic.
Yeah.
Um, Judgment, who are we to judge? We should not even have to justify or judge any circumstance.
No,
The only people we should be fixing is ourselves. We cannot
absolutely.
blame on somebody else and say, well, because of you, I'm acting this way. If you didn't act that way, I wouldn't have to act this way. It's your fault.
Yeah.
And that's judgment, that's justification. Until this
Yeah.
day, people have a problem with that, and I'm blessed to grow from that. But I used to be somebody who judged a lot and justified everything that I did,
Mm-hmm.
because the day you stop blaming others for your mistakes
Yeah.
is when you'll actually take ownership and accountability
Yeah.
and start being a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I agree. And I think I think that is a huge stem for depression.
Yes.
um I tell people, I tell this to many people, family, friends,
Yeah.
anytime judgment is placed on me,
Yeah.
I I love telling people, before, and it's a saying that's used a lot, but I always say, before, you wipe the sawdust out of my eye, how about you pull the plank of wood out of your own?
Yeah.
Like, what does my sawdust in my eye have to do with the plank of wood sticking out of yours? You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly.
Um, Fix
Yeah.
you before you try to fix or critique or give your opinion on
Exactly.
someone else.
Good point. And people have to take ownership and accountability again to emphasize pride and ego
Yeah.
are toxic, and we think
Yeah.
that you know to be boastful, to have ego and pride, it's cancerous. um, we have to detach from that. People have a hard time taking ownership and accountability for their own actions, and to take a look inside themselves
Yes.
and be vulnerable and admit that, look, I'm a bitter person, I'm negative, I bashed you, I belittled you,
Yeah.
I'm angry, I swore at you, I did this, I did that, and yes, it's me. It's not you, not because you pissed me off, not because you looked at that guy. It's me, it's a reflection of
Yeah.
me. Now I'm
Yeah.
so open. I've never been the type of guy, I never thought I was gonna be, but I used to be the type of guy that said, my woman's never gonna look at another man or touch another man or do anything, or
Yeah.
I was just controlling and I was a freak. And I had to come to peace with allowing that old self, allow my new self. Now I'm allowing my new self. Now my spouse is a massage therapist. She massages guys' butts all the time. Man, I would be so bitter and negative and say, no, absolutely not. So I had to change a lot to allow, I
Yes.
had to accept a lot, I had to grow a lot to allow that. Even when we went to LA, now we can openly be like, oh, wow, look at how beautiful they are. That woman, that man, look how beautiful they are. They're so attractive. But in the past, living in the past was like, what are you looking at? Well, you think that person's attractive? Like, well,
Yeah.
go be with that person then. Like, that's so
Yeah.
stupid. That's so
The
stupid.
insecurities, right?
Yeah, and
Oh,
and I understand insecurities
yeah.
come up, but you have to meditate on it, be that
Yes.
space, and allow it to flow away. Change your
Yeah.
thoughts right away. Turn it into positivity and
Yeah.
love, and say, I'm secure. I am, and change that to 5 positive thoughts.
Yeah.
If I'm having a thought of insecurity, I would right away be aware and change
Yes.
that and fix it,
Yeah.
because it would suck me down, and your thoughts become things. You're creating something false to be true. It's like
Yeah.
you have a dream, you wake up, you cheated on me. You're this, you're an ass, you're an asshole, you're a bitch, you're like, you cheated on, what, are you gonna cheat on me now? And you dreamt about it. Like, that's how
Yeah.
insecure you
Yeah.
are. Like
Or
some
or those thoughts just, you know, Oh, my dad. Okay, you're saying something so good, and I gotta
Yeah.
say it. My dad, I remember my dad telling me, he said, don't ever carry any emotions for, uh,
From the
carry
night
any
before.
emotions, no, for someone that you know. And I said, well, why? And he goes, because if you're carrying any negative emotions for anybody that you are speaking to, those emotions will always come forth, always. So, in sense of, if I didn't like so and so, I'm talking to them, but they think I like them, and I think I'm talking to them nice, realistically, I'm probably not. I'm probably talking to them in a way that they can feel that I don't like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
false. Yeah, I do. It's like portraying yourself as something you're really not, and it's gonna come back to bite you in the butt, like karma.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're fake. You know, it's
Yeah.
fake. You're not genuine. It's not
Yeah.
authentic. You know,
Yeah.
being authentic is key. You
Yeah. Oh.
can't be authentic and pretend to be authentic. Because a lot of people out there, they put this material out there,
Mhm.
and really there's things inside of them that aren't reflecting, like they're not really being authentic. Because if you were to approach them or find out, dig deep down about who they really are,
Yeah.
they're just reflecting who they want to be and who they're really not. So it's
Yes.
not authentic, you know.
Yeah.
I don't admire that. I don't admire coaches and mentors out there that are focusing on one niche. And what about every connection, every spiritual awakening, your mind, body, spirit? You know, if you have anxieties, if you have stress, but yet you're teaching about something, you know, I just find it a catch 22. I had a talk with somebody that had a good answer. Tell me your thoughts. If you're a coach or if you're a healer and you know you have to fix something in you, like anxiety, and someone comes
Mm.
to you for coaching and says, I need coaching on on anxiety.
Mhm.
How can you coach that person as a coach on anxiety when you haven't even recovered yourself? And
Mhm.
the answer given to me was, well, I put that person first and I put myself away to serve that person. I can see how that can work by serving others. And I know a lot of people that are suffering in pain and anguish do that, and it works. It's great. So, yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on
Yeah.
that. What are your thoughts on
Well, um, I do have my background in developmental psychology. And I guess I would have, I'm going to answer this question in two parts
that? Yeah,
because it's kind of two-sided.
yeah,
Okay, so if the individual was healthy enough and could successfully and strategically put themselves, quote unquote, away in order to address and assist that person that they are mentoring or coaching,
yeah.
then okay. But can many people do that?
Not a lot of people.
No. So is it fair then to say that if very few people can do that, that they would then be bringing in their anxiety into attempting to repair an already anxious person?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many ways to look at it. Yeah, I agree. There's two parts to that, and it's on your onus. Like, if
Yeah,
you know that you're doing this strictly out of love,
yeah,
pure, being generous and authentic and detaching from your emotions to serve
yeah,
this person, and you have the power to do so, do it. But if
yeah,
you know it's like a catch 22 and it's a contradiction, and you know in your soul and your spirit that, oh my God, I'm dealing with this, but I'm just gonna teach them anyway. That's not authentic.
No,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
no,
I don't think
yeah.
people should do that.
And I agree. You know, the one thing that I've kind of learned over my years of adulting,
Yeah.
call it that, is that, you know, you can't, if you can't give it your all, then you shouldn't do it at all, period. You know, would you be, just think of it this way, if your mom or your dad or your brother or your daughter or child went to you for work or for a consultation or for that interior design job or whatever you do for a living, okay? Whatever you do, if one of your important family members went to you for your job, would you be proud to look at it? Would you be proud of it? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So if I couldn't, let's just say, if I couldn't write this poem, let's just say, if I couldn't write this poem,
Right.
but this customer is asking me to write this poem about this thing, but I can't do it,
Yeah.
so I just puke a bunch of words out on a page hoping that it's going to be okay. Well, I would never give that to them because I'd never give that to my mom.
Yeah.
Because I would only, if I can't give it to my mom and if I can't give it to my dad and I can't give it to my kids, then I'm not going to give it to a client.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if my brain was diluted and I couldn't perform whatever I need to perform, then that's not a full treatment or a full service.
Yeah. I think it gives me, I can speak for myself, a lot of opportunity to help people in business and coaches who are running businesses, because say you're a spiritual healer,
Yeah.
and you are a medium and you can connect to source and angels and people and things like that, and they're lacking personal growth, like they're depressed, or
Yeah.
they have gut issues, or they have health issues, and I can address those things to connect them more to their spirit. I
Yes.
think it'll serve them more. So I see opportunity for growth, and I see opportunity for me.
For that.
But
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like when I see some people, like, I hate to judge. I'm not judging, I'm observing. I'm just observing. And when I see like Gaia TV and I watch a show called Spirit Talk, the guy clearly is not fulfilling his health lifestyle, and
Yeah.
he's successful. But if I can talk to him in an interview, I would say, what are you doing to spiritually connect for your health? I think
Yeah.
he would be lost for words. And if I said, hey, how much do you know about mass production and scientifically engineered food? And how do you feel about those Lay's chips that you're eating there? Do you feel that serves your spirit or your consciousness?
Yeah.
He would be lost for words. And that's where I would come in. I would come in humbly, lovingly, to educate and inform, and hopefully make them feel that they can increase what they're trying to do even more.
Yes. Yes.
So that's my angle on it, but I really see a
I
big
yeah.
opportunity.
Oh no, and without a doubt. But in regards to, like, for instance, and maybe I misunderstood your question, or I interpret it slightly different. If I were to think, for instance, if I were to go to a counselor
Right.
who is clinically depressed and I'm depressed, probably not the best counselor.
But you won't know because they portray themselves as a counselor.
Yes. Although that person, though, being clinically depressed as a therapist, though, I would hope in some sense would clear their mind or correct themselves prior to treating other people with their current condition, right?
Yeah.
Different in a sense of being all aligned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think, for instance, if I'm tattooing somebody, let's just say tattooing somebody, but my hand hurt today and yesterday, I probably wouldn't tattoo somebody today or tomorrow,
Right.
probably the next day until my hand felt better.
Right.
Because my work would not be 110%.
Right.
Right? So I think in that sense, you'd have to be in tune with yourself, and you'd have to hold yourself accountable for when to go and when to hold back.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think many people in society give themselves enough grace to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be in pain. It's okay to have to focus on yourself to get yourself better, to provide the best for your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. I mean, when when that happened to me, where you know, those online trolls, I guess people call them online trolls, you know, it affects the best of us, and we just have to learn how to not dwell on it, not to fall into it or engage into it.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to be stronger and just believe that what we're meant to be, and not believe what those people think, right? So it's how long you dwell, and we can dwell in pain and anguish, or we can dwell on abundance and prosperity and ease and peace. And I teach people, like, dwelling, you can dwell, but it's letting go. When do you let go?
Yeah.
Just like in the law of attraction, and just like with feeling anxiety and stress, is when do you let go? So you want to manifest something, but you also have to let it go. And then when you want to think of negative thoughts, well, you have to let that go too. Just let it go.
So you're not harboring it.
Exactly.
Festering that negative.
Yeah.
And I think it all still goes back down. I think everything that we've talked about tonight literally comes down to one core element, which is self-love and self-worth.
Yeah, I think when we do our next talk in a week, that we should dive in deep on self-love and self-worth and mindfulness, maybe. And it would be something good for people to serve.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree fully.
But I appreciate you. It's been an hour. We could be on here forever. It's so good content that it would be so long for some people, right? So, and I don't want to cut anything out. I want to keep it at an hour. So thank you again. Thank you so much for coming and supporting me and being there and sharing some experience and just putting yourself out there. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you too, Malcolm.
All right.
All right, you keep doing you, okay?
I will. You too.
Awesome. All right.
Okay,
I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Ciao.